Hey everybody, I am here to talk about lesson practice 120. I had to remind myself for the directions we do have to reduce when possible. I know in lesson 119 it told us that we could if we needed to, but if it is possible to reduce, always do it. So we have a little bit of a harder skill because now we're taking what we did in 119 and now we're also adding in whole numbers. So we're going to go through this a little bit slower because I left a lot of space here so that we could really show our work. So we're doing the same exact thing that we did on yesterday's lesson. That was 119. So I wrote it a little differently, so it might be hard to see. But we are going to find the common denominator that we need to change. But then later on, we cannot forget about these guys. These are the whole numbers in front of those fractions. So first step is find the denominator that you're going to be adding together. So I've got a 2 and I've got a 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them all 4s because 4 can't go into 2, but 2 can go into 4. So now I'm going to have my 1/2 become a 4. And the way I do that is multiply by 2. So now I've got 3 and 2/4 plus 1 and 1/4. Now, when you get to this step, the thing that you'll need to do first is add the fractions first. I know it would be kind of difficult to do that, but if you look at these whole numbers can always change. So I always add the fractions first because if I have a number that's going to be an improper fraction when I'm done, I'm going to need to add that improper fraction back into my whole numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my denominator. And now I'm just going to take 2 plus 1, and that's going to be 3. So I have 3/4 right there. And now that's not going over 4/4. If it does go over 4/4, I need to go back and check to make sure that I can correctly add my whole numbers in there. So now I'll just take my whole numbers, 3 plus 1, and that is my final answer because 3/4 cannot be reduced down any further. So I'll circle it. All right, let's go down to B. Now I've got a 4 and an 8. I'm going to make them an 8 because 4 can go into 8. So 3/4 I'm going to change into an 8. So let me say 4 times 2 is 8. So 3 times 2 is 6. So if I write that out again, I've got 4 and 6/8 plus 1 and 1/8. Adding my fractions first, 6/8 plus 1/8 is 7/8. And now I'm going to add those whole numbers, 4 plus 1, which is 5. I cannot reduce that any further, so that one is done. All right, let's jump down to C. Now I've got a 5 and a 10. I'm going to make them a 10. I'm going to change that 1/5 into a 10. And the way I do that, 5 times 2 is 10, so I'll multiply on top here. So now I'm going to rewrite it again, 4 and 2/10 plus 1 and 3/10. All right, this one's going to be a cool one. So I've got 3 plus 2, that's going to be 5/10. It still doesn't go over, so I don't need to do anything crazy. 4 plus 1 is 5, but now remember our directions from the beginning. Reduce when possible. So if I look at this, I can say, well, if I skip count by 5s, I can hit both 5 and 10. So that means that it can be reduced a little bit more. So I'm actually going to reduce them by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. And then I'll just bring that whole number back over here. So now 5 and a half. Now a half can't be reduced anymore, so that one is done. All right, let's do our final one for today. 6 and 1/6 plus 1 and 1/3. 3 can go into 6, so I'm going to make this guy a 6. To do that, I multiply by 2. So now I've got, let me rewrite it over here, 6 and 1/6 plus 1 and 1/3. Whoopsies. Let's try that again. I forgot about my guy down here. All right, so 6 and 1/6 plus 1, I'm going to keep that 1, and now 2/6. So now we've got 6 plus 1, and that's going to be 7, but 1 plus 2 is 3. This is another one that I can reduce down a little bit. So I can always say that 3 can go into 6, so I need to divide it by 3 now. So I got 7 and 1/2 as my final answer. All right, now I'm going to flip it over to the back where now we have some subtraction because we've been adding this whole time. So now let's do it with some subtraction. And they're going to say to reduce when possible again for these as well. So I know that 4 can go into 8, so I'm going to keep my 8 and make that 4 become an 8. To do that, I multiply by 2. Now I'm just going to rewrite it. 3 and 7/8 minus 1 and 2/8. So now 7 minus 2 is 5. Remember, you're subtracting this time, keeping your denominator. 3 minus 1 is 2. So that is your final answer. Okay, next step, look at your denominators. I've got a 5 and a 10, so I'm going to make that 5 a 10. So I've got 3/5, need to make it a 10. To do that, I need to multiply by 2. So now I have rewritten 2 and 6/10 minus 2 and 1/10. All right, now watch this carefully because you probably noticed there's something a little different with these whole numbers. So you've got 6/10 minus 1/10. So what I'm going to do there is do these first. So 6 minus 1 is 5/10. And then you're going to do 2 minus 2, which is great because it's 0. So now you just have to reduce 5/10. And the way you do that is divide them both by 5 because they are both divisible by 5. And so your final answer for that one is just 1/2. You don't even need to have any whole numbers for those. All right, let's look at G. So I got 6 and 7/12 minus 1 and 1/6. I know that 12 is my bigger number and that 6 can go into 12. So I am going to change that 1/6 into a 12. The way I do that, multiply by 2. So if I rewrite it, I've got 6 and 7/12 minus 1 and 2/12. 7 minus 2 is 5. Keeping my 12, I know I won't need to reduce that one, but then 6 minus 1 is also 5, so don't forget that whole number there. All right, next one. 4 and 3/4 minus 1 and 1/2. I'm going to keep that denominator of 4. So this 1/2 is now going to change into a 4. The way I do that is multiply by 2. So now I've got 4 and 3/4 minus 1 and 2/4. Look at those fractions. I got 3 minus 2 is 1. So there's 1/4, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Can't reduce that any further, so you are done. All right, guys, believe it or not, this is the final math video I will be doing because you have reached the end of your math book. So what that is going to mean and what that is going to look like is all of your math work for the next about week and a half is going to be back online on Google Classroom. So I will see you on Google Classroom, and it will all be a review. There's going to be nothing new in math. It's all going to be a review from 4th grade, maybe a little bit of review to get you ready for 5th grade. All right, happy learning, guys. See you later.